Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to continue working on the Tamiya XV-02 chassis kit. And we're going to start at step 16. We're going to put together the spur gear. And we're also going to mount the motor on steps 18 and 19. So let's get started. Let's find all the parts first. That's the most important thing. So from top to bottom, we need 4 of these MA3 screws. We need 2 bearings. Now there's 2 pins and you have to pay attention. This is important. There's an MB9 pin, which is the silver one, and an MB10 pin, which is the darker one. And that's going to matter. The silver one is going to go here with the main shaft cup, and MB10, the darker one, is going to go here in the spur gear holder. So that's very important. We need to really pay attention. Let's start right here. So we're going to take this main shaft and slip on the bearing. It may come loose when we're assembling this, but it's okay. As long as it's threaded through, it will work. All right, so next step is to find MB10. It's the darker one. I'm going to push the pin through here. And then I'm going to slip the spur gear holder on like that. Now I'm going to put the spur gear on and line up the holes and start putting the screws on. This part doesn't really matter if, you can do it like this if you want. You don't have to have it slipped on there just yet. So if you want it to make it easier on yourself, okay, so we're done, and let me slip this back on. Okay, now let's take a look. I'm going to take the main shaft cup and try to find that axle ring, and I'm actually going to slip on the axle ring first. So again, what we're trying to accomplish is thread a pin through here, through this hole, onto the shaft, and then put the axle ring bend into this hole. So I'm just going to slip this on and try to get that bend into this hole first. And it's just a matter of lifting it in. So I have it right here. I have the other pin ready, and we can't forget the bearing here. Otherwise, we'll have to start over. Should be pretty easy to slip on, okay, like that. And then that hole is going to line up with this hole that's exposed, like that. Then I'm going to push the pin through here, and hopefully it'll go in. There you go. So that's in. Now I need to get in here and move this axle ring over that pin. I do have a driver as the manual suggests. Okay. So it's going to look like that. What I did was put the screwdriver right here and I pried it, and then it pushed the axle ring on into that groove. And now that pin is securely fastened and there's not going to come out. All right, so we're done with the spur gear assembly. Now let's go ahead and place it into the chassis. And so I'm going to lay the chassis this way, and the side with the longer side is going to face the rear of the vehicle, and there's a pocket here and here for the two bearings, so we just need to make sure they line up, and the bearings are in the right position. There we go. So it should fit in there perfectly, like that. Okay. All right, now we need both of the shafts. Looks like they're both the same length. So let me take this out and show you. You can see there's cutouts on the cup itself, and this part of the dog bone is going to slip in through here. All right, on both sides, before we put it in there, we need to do two things. We need to put grease on all of both sides of the dog bone, and we also need to insert this urethane bushing. Let's see, onto each end here. So we need one on this cup and then that cup, and it's just a matter of slipping it in there and then using a driver, make sure it's laying flat. As far in as you can. Then let's do this side. Okay, so there's that. All right. In this direction, and the dog bone is going to go here, and in this side, like that, and we're going to do it like this. We're going to drop it in like that. Okay. But first we need to put some grease on both ends, and let's do that first. Again, make sure the bearing is in place. Going to line everything up and then drop it in. And it should look like that when you're done. Pretty straightforward. So now when I spin any of these drive cups over here, it should spin everything. Same as if I spun the propeller shaft, the drive cup should spin. So that's how you can tell if you did it correctly. All right. So let's move on to the next page. We're going to install the motor. And again, motor will vary. It's a 540 size motor, so if you're going brushless or whatnot, that's up to you. I decided to go with a brush motor because I want to do a comparison between XV-01 TT02 Rally to this car, and so I want to make sure it has the same electronics. We're going to line it up this plate, these two holes, with those two holes right there, like that. All right, it's going to line up like this. Okay, perfect. And now we have the aluminum motor mount. And we're just going to slip that on here. And we're going to drive. I like the torque tune label to be right side up. So I'm going to install it like this. All right. So I'm going to put 2 screws in there with a washer. And it's going to be these cap screws that look like this, the silver one. And this is probably Is it 2 or 2.5? Let's see. It's 2.5. All right. And just line it up. Again. Okay. This is where we're going to also install the pinion gear right here. And the pinion gear has a hole on the side right there. And we're going to put a grub screw in there, or set screw. And this one is going to be the 1.5 millimeter, I believe. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to put this in there to start. And then the motor shaft has a flat point, and we're going to line up this set screw with that flat part of the motor shaft. And I'm going to tighten the screw. Not all the way, I just want to take a look at the positioning first. And now we're going to drop this in here. So I believe these two holes right here are going to line up with those two holes, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be like that. So looking at my pinion spur gear alignment, I'm way off. Obviously, it's not even touching. So I need to move the motor over. And it looks like in terms of position laterally, I need to push it in a little bit as well. So let's do that. Okay, pretty sure that's going to be pretty close. All right. So the alignment between the pinion and the spur is pretty good right now in terms of this direction. Now I'm going to move the motor in. Let's see, how's that? All right. Okay, I think that's going to be okay. So I'm going to tighten the bottom screw first. And then, since I can reach, I will tighten that when I take a better look at the gear mesh. But for right now, let's secure this. We're going to put the MB1s in, and MB1 should be these really long screws. Yep. And the hole I want to put it through are these two right there. So let me hold on to the motor, and then just take a look at the gear mesh from here. From this angle, it looks like I can give the two sides just a little bit of breathing room. So that's what I'm going to do, and now I'm going to tighten it. All right. Okay. And now if you look down on it, the gear mesh, the pinion gear and the spur gear are lined up. And also the mesh is not too tight and not too loose. So I think we're going to be okay right here. Now we need to get the cover, spur gear cover, which is going to be this right here. All right. It's going to be this way, like that. And we're going to put two screws from the bottom to secure this as well, which is interesting. Okay. And there's also one screw that goes into here. Should be one of these button screws. And if you so please, you can put in the decals. This part is strictly cosmetic. So today we put together the spur gear holder. We also installed the propeller shafts. We mounted the motor onto the motor mount, mounted the motor mount and everything onto the chassis, and then we covered it up. Then we put the decals on as well. So we did everything from steps 16 through 19. All right. So that spur gear was a little bit tricky. So I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, please drop a like, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.